Daughters often view their mothers as the embodiment of love, warmth, and sacrifice. But what happens when a mother callously takes the life of her own flesh and blood? On March 21st, 2014, the West Carson neighborhood shook with screams. She killed the babies. Coming from a small white house. The woman who was screaming had just found her 30-year-old daughter undressed and covered in blood. Beside her 3 little girls, Sophia, 2.5 years, Yazmine, 16 months, and Xenia, 2 months old. Carol Coronado had murdered her own daughters. It was a nightmare, a tragedy that begged for answers. How could a mother kill her own children? This is Carol's tragic story. The Coronado family was just like any other, with its share of ups and downs. Everything seemed normal on the surface. Carol and Rudy had recently welcomed their 3rd daughter. Carol, who had served in the army before, was now a dedicated housewife while Rudy worked. She used to maintain her house, take online courses, and take her children out for walks. Like any household with little ones, the house often got a bit messy, leading to small arguments between the couple. However, nothing in those everyday squabbles hinted at the tragedy that would soon devastate this family. The sad part is that in the days leading up to the tragedy, there were many signs that hinted something was deeply wrong with Carol. Yet, in the midst of everyday life, no one noticed.
The days leading up to what happened, there were signs. I didn't know what to do.
Friends and relatives say the weight of raising 3 girls was taking a toll on her. The house has started to crumble under the strain. Arguments about housekeeping became regular between Carol and her husband, Rudy. In the chaos, Carol used to seek help from relatives, asking them to watch over her girls while she juggled homework and house chores. However, her sister-in-law observed the fading material instinct in Carol. According to her, Carol had little attachment or concern for her daughters. She would let her relatives handle her daughters for a week, saying she was tired, had homework, or had to clean the house. Little did anyone know that Carol was wrestling with a battle within herself, a struggle within her own mind. Earlier on that tragic day, Carol reached out to her mother, expressing that she felt like she was going crazy. She also called her sister-in-law, sobbing and crying, saying she was tired and exhausted. The SIL could hear her nieces crying in the background, but she ignored them. As any mother knows, children often cry during phone calls. Perhaps these calls were Carol's final plea for help, but by then, it was too late. It was May 21st, 2014. People in the West Carson neighborhood were enjoying a calm evening. Rudy Coronado, Carol's husband, was busy outside, working on his pickup truck parked across the street from their home. At around 5 p.m., Julie Piercy, Rudy's mother-in-law, arrived, and Rudy encouraged her to go ahead inside. Within moments, the calm and quiet neighborhood echoed with screams. Julie Piercy fled the small white house, holding a bloody knife and screaming at her son-in-law. Frantically dialing her cell phone, she uttered the unimaginable words. She killed the babies. Rudy, worried and horrified by Julie's anguished screams, rushed inside only to witness his worst nightmare come true. The cries of, "Oh my God!" echoed through the house, leaving neighbors shaken. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department quickly responded to the distress and reached the house shortly. What they discovered inside was a bloodbath. The lifeless bodies of Sophia, Yazmine, and baby Xenia lay orderly and arranged on a bed, each with harrowing bleeding wounds. Carol was also lying naked in a pool of blood, holding a knife, and had a self-inflicted stab wounds. The police found multiple knives and a hammer at the crime scene as well. According to Carol's mother, when she confronted her daughter, Carol turned the knife on her, but she managed to grab the kitchen knife from Carol's hand and escape. Nevertheless, the tragedy had already struck, and the little souls were gone forever. Deputies led Carol from the house, handcuffed and wrapped in a blanket. However, what neighbors witnessed wasn't really Carol. It was a distant, emotionless creature devoid of feelings and remorse. Coronado was transported to a hospital for the wounds she inflicted on herself, including a puncture wound to her chest. According to the children's autopsy, she tragically slit their throats with kitchen knives, stabbed 2 of her daughters in the heart, and beat the 3rd on the head with a claw hammer. The once giggling faces have been brutally butchered by their own mother. The question is, why? Before we continue, make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated on cases like this and explore the darker aspects of the human mind. Now, let's head back. According to investigations, Carol had been harboring resentment towards her husband, and rumors of divorce were circulating. The mounting pressure became too much for her to handle. On that particular day, one of her children caused an accident by spreading feces on the bathroom floor, triggering a breaking point for Carol. During the trial, the prosecution argued that Carol had planned the killings with the clear intention of hurting her husband. Rudy Coronado admitted on the witness stand that he had threatened to divorce his wife. He also expressed concern about potentially getting into trouble for bringing the 3 girls to his work, where he sold auto parts at a swap meet. In his testimony, Rudy stated that he didn't assist in caring for the children. As reported by the Daily Breeze, he explained that he was raised with the belief that women should care for daughters to avoid legal issues with little girls. Carol Coronado was convicted in 2015 of 3 counts of first-degree murder for fatally stabbing her 3 young daughters. On February 1st, 2016, she received 3 life sentences. Her lawyer argued that she suffered from postpartum depression at the time of the murders, advocating for her to be sent to a mental health institution. However, her doctor's statements contradicted this, asserting she showed no signs of postpartum depression after her 3rd child. Some argued that this was a classic case of postpartum psychosis. The judge ruled that while Carol needs treatment, it must be in state prison. Do you agree? Carol's case, though tragic, shows how tough it can be to handle motherhood, especially when there's not enough support. It reminds us of how crucial love, care, and understanding are during this challenging time. The case also stresses the importance of taking postpartum depression seriously and seeking help when it is needed. Do you agree? Share your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.